Zon-Tarak 7 drifted in the void like a rusted scalpel. It wasn't built to be seen, only to contain things too dangerous to leave on any planet's surface. No light escaped its armored hull. No welcome awaited those who docked. It was a dead thing orbiting a dying star. Elira Vaz stepped off the black shuttle, boots striking the metal ramp with crisp finality. No salutes greeted her, just cold silence and the hum of artificial gravity. The corridor ahead smelled of sterile air and scorched circuitry. A waiting guard, four-eyed and scale-skinned, flinched at her approach. She didn't slow her pace. "Commander Vaz," a smooth voice called from her left. A tribunal liaison, species unidentified, waited with a data slab. "We appreciate your urgency. You'll find the prisoner in the central containment wing. 2 hours per session per day. No observation," she said flatly. "That's against protocol." She gave him a look. The kind that ended conversations. He stepped aside. She passed glassed in cells where dangerous beings blinked with hollow, alien eyes. None as important as the one they couldn't crack, General Karel Verne. Rebel mastermind. Tactician of the Sundered Pact. Responsible for a dozen bombings, 3 collapsed treaties, and 1 near war. And so far, impervious to everything they tried. In her quarters, she opened his file. Compact records were sanitized, lifeless. Verne's military history, his political speeches, the crimes they could prove, and the ones they suspected. But no insight. Just statistics. Elira sipped black coffee, scrolling past data until she reached an image. A still of Verne under interrogation, eyes narrowed, jaw unmoved. No twitch of discomfort. No wasted words. He hadn't spoken more than 7 sentences in 35 days. "You're not resisting," she muttered. "You're waiting." She tapped the screen. "Let's begin." Containment Wing 4 was a vacuum-sealed vault. The walls hummed with dampened force fields, overkill for most prisoners. Inside, Verne sat in a chair bolted to the floor, wrists magnetized to the armrests. He didn't look up when she entered. He was taller than she expected. Izari physiology, lean, high-crowned skull, matte gray skin. No armor. Just a plain jumpsuit. His expression unreadable. She sat across from him, calm, unarmed. "No lights," she said. The bright interrogation beam overhead dimmed until only ambient blue pulses lit the room. Her voice, low and conversational. "Let me tell you about a man named Cole Renner. Earth year 2285. Captured during a raid on a pirate colony in the Gliese system." Verne didn't react. "He was held by a species called the Drukta. They removed his eyelids. Fed him metal shavings. Drilled into his mind with frequency bursts. You know what broke him?" Still silence. "Nothing. He told jokes. Every day. Terrible ones. Until the lead interrogator started laughing. Couldn't stop. They gave up after 3 months. Released him." She leaned forward. "That's what you don't get about humans. Pain doesn't scare us. It's silence that does." Verne blinked once. Progress. The next day, she returned. No weapons. No data slabs. Just a cup of coffee and the same chair. "You know what your file doesn't tell me? Why you hate the compact. You were decorated. Respected. Then you burned it all." He turned his head slightly. First sign of interest. "Some things deserve to burn," he said. Her brows rose. A voice like steel dragged across gravel. His words slow, deliberate. She smiled. "So you can speak." He didn't answer. "I'm not here to save you," she said. "You've already lost. I'm here to decide how many more lose because of you." Verne looked at her. His eyes were not cold, not cruel, just calculating. Watching every flicker of her face. "I've read what you've done," she said. "Efficient. Strategic. Always 3 moves ahead. You let them catch you, didn't you?" No reply. She sat back. "Here's my guess. You're not trying to survive this. You're trying to control it." Still nothing. But the problem is, you expected logic to be your shield. You didn't account for me. She stood. Enjoy the silence, General. I won't be wasting it. Back in her quarters, she stared at her reflection. Hair pinned back, eyes rimmed with fatigue. She pulled up her old team's file. Kia during a botched compact raid. Friendly fire, they said. She never believed it. Vern had looked at her today. Measured her. She could feel the game shifting. Day 3. She brought no stories. Just silence. Vern spoke first. Why do you care if I talk? The compact doesn't trust you. They barely tolerate your presence. She raised an eyebrow. And yet here I am. While your rebellion dies screaming in the dark. You think this is defeat? I think this is desperation, she said. You're still trying to win from inside a cage. That tells me you're not ready to die yet. He leaned forward, voice low. They killed half my world in the name of balance. What would you do, Commander? She didn't flinch. I'd make sure the rest of the galaxy heard about it. That stopped him. As she walked back to her quarters, a low flicker ran through the hallway lights. A subtle stutter. Not enough to alarm. Enough to notice. She tapped her comm. Maintenance? No response. She frowned, keyed in a quick scan on her wrist pad. A neural relay blinked red near the security wing. Embedded tech, unauthorized. Broadcasting something. She logged it silently. Didn't report it. Someone inside was working with the enemy. Day 4. Vern was waiting. You're not here for answers, he said. Correct. You're here for something else. I'm here to find out why someone like you would destroy a system they built. He tilted his head. She walked closer, stopped just outside his reach. And if I understand you, she said, I might understand what the tribunal's hiding. He looked at her, truly looked, and for the first time, he smiled. Just slightly. Then we begin. Alira didn't sleep that night. The blinking red mark on her wrist pad replayed in her mind like a pulse she couldn't silence. Someone on board Zontarak 7 had embedded a transmission node inside a guard. A neural relay designed to mask data signals, subtle enough to pass standard scans, but not hers. She logged the anomaly and locked it behind triple encryption. Telling the tribunal would only tip her hand, and she didn't trust them, not after what happened to her team. If Vern was a crack in the wall, she was learning to look at the entire structure. On the 5th day, Alira returned to interrogation cell 4 without her usual calm. Vern noticed immediately. You look tired, he said. She sat, ignoring the bait. Someone's leaking intel. From inside this facility. Vern didn't blink. She stared at him. You know who? I have ideas. But you're not here for confirmations. He leaned forward. You're here to test your instinct. That's not a denial. Neither is it an admission. She considered him. Then stood and tapped a command into the wall panel. The light dimmed to a pale red, shadowing his face. I want you to explain something, she said. You gave up everything. Rank, power, even your life. For what? His voice was quiet. Because order without truth is just a well-decorated lie. She folded her arms. You speak in ideals. But people die for your rebellion. Innocence. So did mine. Long before I raised a flag. A pause hung between them. She broke it. Then give me names. Coordinates. Help stop the next wave. He met her eyes. Why? So they can be silenced? You think they'll stop with me? She sat again, this time slower. I think you don't want to die without being understood. Later, in her quarters, she reviewed the facility logs. Patterns emerged, shifts altered without cause, equipment swapped by low-level techs. Small moves. But together, they painted intent. Alira called up the schematics and cross-referenced them with duty rotations. One guard had shifted to isolation monitoring without a formal request, Lieutenant Vasher, an Irie with a spotless record. Spotless was its own red flag. She filed it under observation only. Her job wasn't to chase rats. Not yet. Her job was to keep the rebellion's plans from killing entire cities. She returned to Vern the next cycle. He was waiting, eyes slightly more alert. "You've started digging," he said. "You gave me a reason to." He smiled faintly. "Curiosity is humanity's greatest weapon." "No. It's anger." That made him pause. She placed a data slab on the table between them. A map lit up, star systems near the fringes of compact territory. 3 days from now, one of these locations will be attacked. I know it. But I don't know which. You're going to tell me. He looked at the glowing map, then back at her. Give me a story first. What? You like to tell stories. Tell me one. She studied him, then leaned forward. Earth, 2312. A low-orbit refinery station caught fire after a reactor overload. 20 engineers trapped inside. No escape. One of them, a woman named June Orell, sealed herself in the control room to stabilize the core. No one ordered her to. She just did it. Saved everyone. Vern tilted his head. And? She died. Slowly. Took 8 hours. And why tell me that? Because you believe sacrifice should serve a purpose. So did she. He considered her. Then pointed to the far-right system on the map. 3 Ankar. That's where your eyes should be. She narrowed hers. You could be lying. I could, he admitted. But if I were, I'd pick the one closest. That one's the farthest. It'll take longer to prepare a response. He was right. Which meant, he was telling the truth, or trying to convince her he was. Why help me now? She asked. Because the longer I sit in here, the more I realize you're not what I expected. She stood. Neither are you. The next 20 hours moved fast. Elira forwarded the 3 Ankar tip through encrypted channels, marked as unconfirmed intelligence. The tribunal mobilized a fleet detachment. When they reached orbit, they found a phase storm mine embedded in the moon's crust, rigged to detonate once a civilian transport docked. They defused it with seconds to spare. No casualties. Just one hell of a message. Elira didn't gloat. She knew it was only the opening move. She walked into cell 4 the next day holding 2 cups of coffee. She slid one across the table. Accurate tip. You've earned this. Vern didn't touch the drink. You verified the threat? She nodded. You saved lives. Not my intention, he said, but she saw the flicker of something in his face. Maybe pride. Maybe something deeper. You think you're fighting a corrupt system, she said. Maybe you are. But if you lose the war before it starts, what good are your ideals? He stared at her. Tell me why you're really here. You're not a tribunal loyalist. You don't trust them. She sipped her coffee, eyes locked on his. I lost people. Good ones. They trusted the wrong command. Got sent into a trap. Compact? Classified. He nodded slowly. Then maybe we want the same thing. No, she said. I want peace. You want collapse. Sometimes, he replied. Collapse is how peace begins. Elira left the cell with her head buzzing. Vern wasn't cracking. He was opening. She returned to her room. Her wrist pad blinked again. Another signal spike, this time, near medical storage. Same relay signature. She locked down access and quietly redirected maintenance patrols. She reviewed footage, slowing it frame by frame. Vasher again, carrying a crate past the medical bay. Too confident. Too careful. She opened a secure channel to Earth intelligence. No audio. Just one word. Embedded. No reply. But she knew they received it. That night, she stood alone at the viewing port, watching stars flicker like thoughts just out of reach. For the first time in days, she allowed herself to wonder. Was Vern the enemy, or the only one honest enough to admit how broken the system was? The door chimed. A courier drone entered and dropped a message disk on her table. No source listed. She played it. Vern's voice. You asked why I chose to burn it down. Watch the stars blink out one by one, Commander. Then ask yourself who lit the fire. Static. Silence. She stared at the disk, knowing one thing for certain. The game had changed. Again. Zon-Tarak 7 never slept, but something had changed. The facility pulsed with a different rhythm now. Guards kept their hands closer to their weapons. Cameras flicked to life a breath slower than before. Elira felt it in her bones, like a storm coming in hard silence. Her wrist pad pinged. A new message encrypted. Earth Intelligence's seal blinked once. Acknowledged. Do not engage. Extraction window in 36 hours. She read it twice, then deleted it. If Earth wanted her pulled out, it meant someone higher up knew the station was compromised. And they knew she'd uncovered it. Which meant someone might try to make sure she didn't leave. She went to Vern. He was standing this time, arms uncuffed, behind a low-energy field. A gesture of cooperation. Or control. Elira raised an eyebrow. You asked for a field drop? He gave a faint smile. If I wanted to kill you, I'd need more than that. Not helping your case. Neither are you. She stepped closer. I want everything, Vern. Not fragments. No riddles. If you're serious about stopping what's coming, now's the time. He said nothing. Not right away. Then, slowly, he reached into his tunic and pulled out a crystal shard. Data core. Legal possession of which, under compact law, meant permanent detainment without trial. He handed it over. I've memorized most of it. But they'll kill me before I say the rest. You, though, you'll make it matter. She took it. What's on it? Everything. Real troop movements. Agent placements. And proof the tribunal let entire colonies fall. Not by accident. By decision. Elira froze. Why? To create a threat only they could solve. To justify expanding control over independent systems. She felt something hollow open in her chest. You're not lying. I don't need to. Back in her quarters, she secured the shard in her portable safe. She didn't send it to Earth. Not yet. If it was true, even Earth might not be safe from blowback. Instead, she ran diagnostics, verifying encryption layers, pulling partial headers. The code was real. Tribunal seals. Internal signatures. This wasn't fabricated. It would detonate everything. If leaked, the compact would fracture. Civil war. Billions dead. But if buried, it meant siding with monsters. Her calm buzzed. Tribunal High Liaison Trask, sharp-eyed and too polite. We've reviewed your results, Commander. Excellent work. The 3-on-car operation was a success. You've done more in days than our experts in months. Then I assume you'll be acting on further intel, she said carefully. We'll handle that internally. A beat. Your transport leaves at cycle's end. Stand by. The call cut. So they were sending her home. Or somewhere quieter. She looked at the safe. Then at the surveillance port above her door. A camera, hidden in shadow. It flickered. They were watching. She returned to cell 4. Vern looked up the moment she stepped in. They're pulling you out, he said. You already knew. He nodded. They'll disappear you next, she added. They've tried before. She pulled a small scanner from her belt and jammed it into the field projector. A quiet buzz filled the air. White noise dampener. We don't have long. He raised an eyebrow. So this is the part where you choose? I already did. She tossed him a data chip. It wasn't the crystal. It was a forged dossier, fabricated targets, false rebel command nodes. Just enough to satisfy the tribunal. Enough to buy time. They'll run that data, he said. Realize it's junk. She nodded. Not before I'm gone. And the real file? Someplace safe. He smiled. For what it's worth, he said. I underestimated you. I get that a lot. She reached into her coat, withdrew a thin flex slab, and handed it to him. On it, a photo of her old team. 10 operatives. All dead. They died on a mission sanctioned by the same people you're fighting, she said. No enemy fire. Just a setup. I know, Vern said softly. I read the report. Something inside her twisted. I joined this mission to break you, she said. Instead, I found out I've been fighting the wrong war. Her final walk through Zon Tarak 7 was silent. She passed Vasher in the corridor. His eyes lingered half a second too long. He knew. She knew he knew. But no words were exchanged. She boarded her shuttle. The doors sealed behind her. As the ship detached from the docking arm, Zon Tarak 7 shrank into shadow. But the silence stayed with her. In orbit, she sent 2 messages. The first, a package to Earth intelligence, tagged secure. No identifiers, just the full contents of the crystal and her own report titled, Internal Corruption in Tribunal Chain. The second, a short, simple message, pinged to a hidden node in Sol's asteroid belt. They lied. Prepare for impact. Back on the station, Vern sat alone. A new warden entered. Tall, rigid posture. Not a guard, compact intelligence, judging by the insignia. Where is the real file? He asked. Vern smiled. Gone. Like her. The warden stepped forward. But before he could speak again, the lights dimmed. Just for a second. Vern looked up at the ceiling, where a small dot blinked red. And smiled wider. Somewhere, Earth Command intercepted a signal fragment. Embedded in the data stream, a time-stamped signature. EV active. Phase 2 initiated.